So we're going to do a little bit of a detailed breakdown for Cinderella, obviously being the primary pilgrim that people are going to want to pull for. We're also going to be making a video for Grave just so people understand what Grave is going to be doing. But I do think Cinderella is going to be interesting to say the least. Now, not to toot my own horn, but I did say she was going to have a new mechanic, and well, quite frankly, she does. Checking over here, we're going to go over this and then jumping back and forth with the live stream feed to fully understand what she does. So obviously she's going to be a defender unit. She's going to be a burst free character. It says rocket launcher here, but that's a little deceiving, and we'll go over why. She's going to be electric. And we're going to see here is that Cinderella uses glass slippers as her decoy and gains buffs to strengthen herself. Her burst skill allows her to use the buffs obtained from her glass slippers to deal significant damage to the enemies. So jumping over here, the flawless glass is she's going to be using her glass slippers to be, as her decoy and gain buffs. And we can see here that she has two buffs currently on her. See if she obtains another buff. Well, we can see one right there. Um, and then the dirt resistance mirror is Cinderella uses glass slippers as her decoy. Okay, it's the same thing, but it looks like applying a healing buff on herself with his, which is going to be actually pretty interesting. But you can see that rocket launcher detail is a little deceiving because of the fact that she is actually like firing lasers. It looks like go ahead and let this play through. But the ultimate is that, like I said before, you're going to be using all her buffs to deal significant damage to enemies. And we can see here it's like a massive AoE, and as very similar to the normal weapon or shots, it's like plasma or light laser, whatever it is. And you can see that she gains more buffs because you're doing the damage to the enemies, but because of that, you know, she has an increased damage, she has increased health, increased defense, probably not faster weapon shooting. That's Grave. We'll go over Grave in a second. But so that's interesting with her. Now, team options, how exactly are you going to want to build her? Well, unfortunately, I do think her best friend is actually going to be Grave, because Grave is going to be able to put an attack buff on all your allies, and that's another buff on Cinderella. So once her burst skill is used, that is another buff to deal more damage to the enemies. So it seems like she's going to be a character that's going to be, doing damage to the enemies. You're going to be gaining various buffs. I believe they're going to be fixed buffs that you're going to be gaining. So it looks like we're going to have a health buff and possibly a damage boost, maybe buff. That's what I'm thinking. And you're going to use those once you activate her burst. Then you're going to be obtaining more buffs, and that's going to be like instantaneous, because once you launch the burst skill, glass slippers full contact, it's going to be damage to everyone, massive AoE damage. So it's going to be interesting. Now, it's very unique, much like how Red Hood was. We're going to need the actual character to be released to do actual calculations for damage output, which is what I will do as well. But unfortunately, I do think her best friend is going to be Grave. Now, in my opinion, between the two, who's going to have more splashability and just, be able to use everywhere, I honestly think it's probably going to be Grave. I think Cinderella's okay, but it's just a little too finicky for my opinion.